I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them.
Gotta love on each other. Yeah. The Matrix has lost its signal. Like from the day we started the channel. Elise, stand there. Where's Elise at? She's in the back. Elise has been with me. Connie, you've been with me. Justina, everybody that's part of the national team, stand up. Stand up. These are all the old dogs. Michelle, and they are in this battle. They are in this fight. They've changed their lives. They've given up fortunes, money, jobs, lost friends. Family members think they're crazy. But they know, this cause is just and righteous. I know my family members, some of them think I'm nuts. All right, so let's get this thing moving. Rodeo, I think she needs you for a second. You ready to roll, Kiki, or I need to burn some more time? All right, cool. All right, guys. So this woman that you're about to be graced with hearing her today is quite a very unique woman. She's paid a heavy toll to learn what she's about to teach you. She's lost her home, everything she had. She's had to fight for her kids. She's had to fight for loved ones. And she's lost friends and had to readjust her life. And she came through that valley of the shadow of death. And she's got her name written in the book of life. And she's got that white stone that God had written her name upon it. And only she knows and has control of it. And she's here to share all that wonderful knowledge and that heartfelt passion for setting people free. And she's here to share it with you. Folks, my very, very good friend and mentor, Kiki.
Hi.
Give me a hug, girl.
I love you.
I love you too, man. Y'all take care of my girl now.
You guys
All right.
ready?
It's all yours, baby. Go.
Okay. Did you guys like the intro? That was pretty badass, wasn't it? That was made by Arrogant Prepper. Okay. I always push him because he's spectacular. Can we switch this? Pretty please? Everybody have their coffee, their tea, their water? Okay. All right, guys, so you guys know I like glitter. So this is Introduction to Honor Tennessee. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. And I'm here to talk about the name game. It is an ancient game. It's been going on since 2750 BC. I'm going to show you where to find that. It's actually in Wikipedia under performance bonds. So what has happened? Okay. So essentially what has happened is They've taken the holy books. Oh boy. Careful what you click on. Please. Yeah. Wow, that looks bad. Yeah. So, that's cool. I don't mind it looking like that. Okay, what do you need me to do? I can deal with this. I don't mind the next slide at all. Yeah, thank you. As opposed to what might happen, let's leave this where it's at. Okay. So essentially what's happened is they've taken these ancient holy books and they've duplicated them into this world that we live in now. And they've turned it into a game arena. And the instructions on how to get through the game is hidden in Scripture. Okay? And so, long story short, most of you know the story, but I'll go through it quickly. I had a circumstance where they took my ex-husband. And at the time, I had 2 small children, 2 and a brand new infant. And they came to my house. It was local municipal police from another state, which I thought was strange. And they came to my house and said, well, we're looking for him. He's worth $1 million. And I said, that's weird. And then he says, you sure you don't know where he is? He's worth $1 million. And I'm like, nope, don't know where he's at. You're absolutely sure, because he's worth $1 million. I said, that's the 3rd time you said that. And 3 times is a charm. So is it a crime or is it cash? Oh, no, we didn't mean that. Yes, you did. You most certainly did. So I said, well, hang on. So you're going to leave me with 2 screaming babies and take him and $1 million? That's not going to happen. So I went after them with a double stroller and 2 screaming boys. And I went into their meetings, boof, rolled in. One jumped out this way, thing 1, thing 2, and they're completely leveling their office. And I'm like, I have some questions. And so they realized that I wasn't going to stop, and they said, okay, hang on a second. Let's talk about this. And they started teaching me instead. So instead of it becoming a battle, it became an instructional crucible course for me. And they showed me how to play. And now I'm going to tell you how to play. In the beginning, this is John 1-5. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Sorry about the boo-boo, I'll fix it. Okay? So when I realized that we were playing this biblical game in this arena we call the world, I said, where's the rules? And I started matching his legal paperwork with the dictionaries and the Bible. And then I grabbed the Quran to see if that matched. And then I grabbed the Torah to see if that matched. And all of the information was exactly the same. Characters change, but the information was identical. So I started digging deeper and looking into these older dictionaries, and I found Oxford, the definition of God in Oxford. If you can see number 5, do you guys see that number 5? What does it say? As a proper name falls under God. Isn't that interesting? Okay? As a proper name. So I said, okay, hold on a second. Now, at the time, I had an authenticated birth certificate, or certificate of live birth, excuse me. And I have this document. Now, this is in 2014. I have this document. I'm like, I know this is something, but I don't know what it is. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, if this has to do with the Bible, in Revelations, it talks about two witnesses, and it talks about them giving testimony. And on the cover of my authentication, it talks about in testimony whereof, and there's two witnesses on here. This must mean two witnesses in the Revelation. Ha ha. So it's on documents and seals instead. That makes sense. So as I'm figuring it out, I hear. So I look, I go over to the door. Who's at the door? Two Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm like, nice. Do you guys want to come in? You want to talk about Jesus? What do you guys have for scripture? Let's take a look and see what you guys have. Because this is no coincidence. So let's talk about it. And they started talking about it. And they started teaching me. Donald Trump is one of my favorite fork-tongue orators. So in this game, they speak fork-tongue. And in the Bible, it says, come, let us go down and confound their language, so they may not understand one another's speech. So when we go in and we start talking to these fiduciaries, because that's what they are, clerks, police, sheriff, state troopers, it doesn't matter, they're all acting in a fiduciary capacity under military powers, until you switch them to civil, of course, and then they become your personal army. But we'll talk about that later. So I had been watching Donald Trump before he even ran for president because of the way he spoke. And I said, this guy's saying all kinds of stuff, and this is going over everyone's head. And so I would be, standing in Dunkin' Donuts line, waiting for my coffee, and he would say something, and I'm like, did you hear what he just said? And the person would say, oh, you must be a Trump supporter. And I'm like, but you didn't hear what he just said. He just said something completely encrypted. You didn't hear that? So in this game, he acts as the president of the United States of America and the United States, two different worlds. If you have a naturalization certificate, there's an amazing man in here who has a naturalization certificate that shows the difference between the United States and the United States of America being two different zones, by the way. And he says in this article, Trump to values voters. In America, we don't worship government, we worship God. In the United States, it's a different deity, but thou shalt have no other gods before me. So which God are we talking about? Each God is in a different jurisdiction. There's three. Bible Hub is one of my favorite go-tos, mainly because they have all the scriptures from all the books. It's BibleHub.com. They also have commentaries, articles that are written by other writers over time. They have definitions. They have Hebrew translations of those definitions, Greek translations of those definitions, and you can get lost in this stuff. So, because in the beginning was the Word, we went and I looked up the word word in Bible Hub. And it says the word is often a commandment, sometimes equivalent to the law. This is the encryption that we're talking about here. So in the beginning was the Word. Well, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. So that means that God is the law. Does that make sense? That's what they're saying. In Exodus, so here's all of the different locations you can find it. Exodus 32:28, Numbers 20:24, Deuteronomy 6:6, Psalm 105:8, and so on and so forth. This is directly from looking up the word word in Bible Hub. Words are distinguished from power. Corinthians, they talk about where to find it, and are contrasted with the word deed, right? Because faith without deeds is dead. And Paul refers to unspeakable words which he heard in paradise, and to word in which the Spirit teacheth. And there's deeds. Everybody knows who the Register of Deeds is, right? So they're recording and registering the word, and they're making public notice of the word, which is the law. So the current law that is running in the Recorder's Office of Deeds is public, right? Because it's public record, and any recorder will tell you that. Oh, this is public record. We're just going to go ahead and put this on the public record. Because it's public record in the deeds. Under fictitious names, by the way, your name is not in there. Deed is a sealed instrument in writing on paper or parchment, duly executed, which means signed, sealed, delivered, and put into law, and delivered containing some transfer, bargain, or contract. Performance followed by of, it's a verb, to convey or transfer by deed as he deeded all his estate to his eldest son. Kind of like Jacob and Esau. As used in its ordinary modern sense, in the Old Testament is used to translate 5 Hebrew words. Was that gemilah, literally recompense, literally word. In the beginning was the word, and the word was the deed, and the deed is the law, and the law is God. Just saying. Right? Thing, acts, doings, work. So when we talk about execution of deeds, we're talking about putting them into law. So when you guys are dealing with law enforcement, they're enforcing a law. What law are they enforcing? That is correct. They're enforcing something, right? What are they enforcing? We're going to talk about that. So in an execution of deeds is a number of documents are required to be executed as a deed rather than as an agreement. Typically, where there is no visible consideration, that's a problem. That's a problem. For those of you who know equity, equity will not aid a volunteer, and a volunteer is someone who has not given consideration for the benefit that they're about to receive. In other words, you haven't paid your public debt. Everyone has a lien on their estate, by the way. So typically, where there is no visible consideration passing from one party to the other, a deed is required to make a promise in the document enforceable. So, in other words, you end up in the public recorder of deeds if you fail to provide consideration. You go over to the public then. Since you don't want to pay your debts to society, you can go over here on the public. Do I have markers? We're going to start doodling. You're on the public. Public is open to scrutiny, attack. It's under military command and takeover. In every one state constitution, I think, except for New York, because they're in trouble over there, it says military power shall be subordinate to civil power. Civil power be on this side. Public here is military. I wonder whose army it is. So if there's no consideration, you stay here. Sorry. Okay? So, again, typically where there is no consideration passing from one party to another, a deed is required to make promises in the document enforceable. So the deeds can be enforceable on the public side because you didn't pay them on the private side. I can tell you what happens when you pay them. Okay. This is because where there is a lack of valuable consideration passing from one party to another, such as in a contract for sale, the document is not legally enforceable unless it is a deed. Okay? Common forms of deed, hold on a second. Common, commoner, common law, plantation, public. Common forms or deeds are powers of attorney, deed poll for change of name. You want to change your name? Leave the common side and go over here? That's fine. We can do that. Confidentiality deed, termination deed, and escrow deed. You guys who have mortgages, doesn't your stuff get stuffed into escrow? Because you didn't pay to get over to the private side. You didn't pay your coin to get over to the River Styx. So now we're going to talk about signed, sealed, and delivered. How to move from here to here. How you got stuck here when you were born over here. Is there a contract that keeps you here when you're trying to get over to here? Okay? Because right now, law enforcement is public officials. They're public officials. Okay? You guys know who this guy is. I don't mind the second one showing up, but this one, you guys remember this song. Does anyone want the microphone so that they can sing this song to us? No? Okay. Just asking. Signed, sealed, and delivered, I'm yours. I'm more than happy. I'm satisfied. That sounds like a debt was satisfied. Satisfaction of debt. I can move you over to the private. So this stuff is happening in the public, on your TVs, on your commercials, everywhere, all day, every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in front of your face. You sing to it. You dance in the kitchen to it. You mopping your floor to it, okay? It's constantly going on. We're constantly being told, and we're being entertained by it instead, and distracted by it instead. And when someone says, "Did you see that?" It's just a movie. That's just a movie. No, those are instructions. Those are instructions, and you're not paying attention. So this is interesting. This is a movie called Signed, Sealed, and Delivered. The Vows Have Been Made. This is a movie. Okay. At the top, it says Signature Mystery Movie. And then it says marriage is about the words we keep. Oh. Do you see it starting to loop itself? I'm going to keep my word. You have my word. I'm a man of my word. Uh-oh. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was the law, and the law was God. God was a deed. Okay? So we're going to talk about signed, sealed, and delivered. And here, I found some really cool stuff. We're talking about signing something. And these are signatures from royalty and tribes and things of such nature. The sign of the Queen of, what is that? Kiki. On behalf of herself, which is pro se, by the way. If you're coming in pro se, it's on behalf of yourself. Okay? The sign of the Queen of Roanoke, the sign of the King. These are signatures and emblems from kings and queens, all being involved in some form of contract. I wonder if the natives accidentally signed something and accidentally sold their tribes and their land away with it, and that's what caused those wars. Fine print, maybe? Cool. So, a sign, I'm just talking about definitions here, is a token, pledge, or proof. That's correct. Ding. I like those. Exodus, Isaiah, this is where you'll find it. Also a supernatural portent and a miracle regarded as a token of the divine agency. This is out of Bible Hub Definition Dictionary. Isn't that nice? Exodus, a sign of heaven. Exodus and Mark, excuse me, were the movements and aspects of heavenly bodies from which heathen astrologers pretended to obtain revelations. Isaiah 44:25, Jeremiah 10:2. See, ship. Uh-oh. Sign, we should go to ship after that. You guys remember this movie, right? They do this in our faces all day, every day. Even in this movie, the little girl refused to drink the water. She said there's something wrong with the water. The water's bad. Do you remember that? You guys who saw that movie? She'd have cups of water everywhere and she wouldn't finish it because something's wrong with the water. And I'm just saying, if you guys don't do this when you get home, then I have failed. Everybody should have one of these by the time you guys get home. When you watch TV, that's what you're going to be doing. That's from Signs. Okay, so this is cool, so it's going to start getting juicy from here. So signed, sealed, delivered. Now we're going to start talking about seals because the documents that you have, we're going to start off with just your birth certificate. And you start off with one seal, and remember, this is a biblical game that we're playing, spiritual warfare. You're in it as soon as you're born. You get here, you get a stamp, the game begins. Okay? So your birth certificate has a seal on it. This is a federal seal. This is one of my favorite definitions because the word federal translates to covenant between God and man. Ooh. Wow. So the proper name being God in this game, which is the word, which is a deed, which is the law, has a covenant between himself and man. It's almost like you have to reassemble yourself. And the federal seal is one of my favorites because it's 13 all over it. So in the federal rules of procedure, if you guys are ever at the federal level and you're moving around and you have a court case or whatever, you'll know that if it's not a criminal and you're not in trouble, you'll be in civil procedure. And this is mandatory 13 cross-claim, counterclaim. And in that, that's bad luck for them and good news for us. So everything on here, the stars are 13, the arrows are 13, the tail feathers are 13, the leaves are 13, the berries are 13, the lines on the flag are 13, so on and so forth. And this is the Great Seal of the United States of America. All capped, by the way. Just saying, which God are we looking at? So this was cool. This is New York. Not crazy. There's ships in there. See them at the bottom? There's ships in there. A seal is a device to impress an emblem used as other means of authentication on paper, wax, clay, or other medium. I thought the Bible said to stay away from mediums. The impression is also called a seal. There was a man that was speaking yesterday, and they told him that his certificate was already authenticated. So that certificate that he had was already authenticated on the public side. It's got a seal on it. Should have the state seal and a vital statistics seal. And yeah, it's already got 2 witnesses on it on the public side. The authenticated record, proper form, is over here on the private side. So this is New York. They've got all kinds of fun, crazy stuff happening on their seal. They've got the woman, the justice is blind on the right. That's why you have a hearing, because justice is blind. You have a hearing. But in equity, your certificate says child where your name is, right? It says child. So in equity, you're seen, right? So children of God should be seen and not heard. You don't get a hearing in equity, you get seen. Children should be seen and not heard. So our beloved Ruby went and she got her name change done. We had to go get seals for it. so that we can move it out of the public, common side, general, into the private. And when we went into the office, this huge seal is on the wall. And I'm like, do you see that? And she's like, I see that. So I might not have gone to school for Latin, but I think I can kind of figure this out here. Maybe not the REAPCON part, but the secret sigil part I think is pretty obvious to me. And custos for customs, and customs is import and export. Okay, ingress and egress, which is the same thing as the right to travel. And this is in Connecticut. So they just flat out tell you, hey, we have the secret sigil. If you need it on your papers, let us know. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So as we go along, we know that we have to authenticate our certificate. We get this, the original birth certificate. Then we go to the Save Our Ship, right? Because we're talking about ships, right? Yeah, in the definitions anyway. So we're going to the SOS to Save Our Ship so we can get an additional seal, state, thanks. And then we go to the Fed, we get another seal, hey, thanks. And then we go and we get our name, hey, thanks. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I thought the Bible asked for 7, but we'll talk about that. So we're accumulating these seals for these documents. We don't know why, we just know that we're going to go get more seals for whatever reason because we don't know, but we have to go do it. That's fine. So in Wikipedia, they start talking about sigils because that sign said secret sigil, I believe. So now we start getting into the truth of this stuff. I'm not going to go too deep. I'm going to scratch the surface a little bit. And then I'm going to come back up for air so you guys don't get dragged too deep in with me. Yes? Secret seal keeper? Thank you. Let's go back. Secret seal keeper. Thank you. Isn't that nice? Wonder what he's the secret seal keeper of. So we start talking about sigils, because sigils are seals and seals are sigils, okay? Because we're playing their game. We know something's wrong, we just don't know what, we're just trying to get out, so we're doing these things. A sigil is a type of symbol used in magic. This is in Wikipedia. Okay? This is their stuff that I'm just compiling and delivering to you guys so you guys understand what's going on. The term has usually referred to a pictorial signature of a deity or spirit. Look at that. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. In modern usage, especially in the context of chaos magic, sigil refers to a symbolic representation of practitioner's desired outcome. Someone is trying to do something, somewhere, with seals. On our papers. So as soon as we get here, we end up with a seal. Here's your birth certificate. Just let us know when you're ready to redeem your certificate. Go ahead and live life and don't die. The Bible talks about 144,000 sealed. Do not harm the land or sea or trees until we have sealed the foreheads of the servants of our God. In my opinion, that's knowledge because his people die for the lack of that. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm okay with that. And I heard the number of those who were sealed, the 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel. You guys okay? All right. I'm not going to go too deep. I don't need you guys crying out in the parking lot. Revelation 5:1. Then I saw a scroll in the right hand of the one sealed on the throne. So someone's got a scroll with a whole bunch of seals on it somewhere. 7 to be total. So hang on a second. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This guy gives us Federal, covenant between God and man. State. Just saying. We're collecting these things for some reason. We don't know why. It had writing on both sides and was sealed with the 7 seals. And I saw a mighty angel proclaiming in a loud voice, "Who is worthy to break the seals and open the scroll?" That's Revelation 5:1. Their stuff, not mine. So this was really frustrating. I took a trip out to Ohio. We have a group out in Ohio that is being faced with walls everywhere they turn. Won't give them their name. They won't correct their certificates. All their certificates, almost everyone that I've met so far in Ohio has certificates that are in the wrong name, and they won't let them out. So we go to one of the courts, and this guy's stuck in the door. And he's got something around his neck. Can I zoom in on this, Scott? No zooming. Okay, everybody squint. So he's got his Indian headdress. He doesn't look very happy. And he's got his neck, and he's got a seal, a county seal on his necklace. Looks like he's locked into something. Trying to come out the door, but he's stuck. That's pretty, ouch. Seal is also the definition of a lock. Lock having a seal as of glass that must be broken for the lock to be unlocked. Isn't that nice? Indians, Indians, Indians. Cowboys and Indians. So I remember as a small girl, my grandmother used to love to watch the Westerns. And every now and then I would sit and I'd watch them, and the dialogue would be kind of like twisted, you know what I mean? Like, all the Indians are savages, and da-da-da. And I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. And then you'd have the pilgrims that would be like, well, we're here to preach the word of God, and so on and so forth, and you have to convert to Christianity. And I'm like, okay, I see what's happening here, but where did the war come from? Where did the battle come from? Why are they fighting? What's the fighting about? What's the fighting? I thought that there were settlers that came in, but maybe there's a misunderstanding somewhere. So one of the definitions out in the CFR talks about an Indian. For the purposes of the act, any of the following. Number 1, any person who is a member of federally, covenant between God and man, recognized Indian tribe, is eligible to become a member of any, did I get that right? Is eligible to become a member of any federally recognized Indian tribe, or is an owner of a trust or a restricted interest in land. Would you look at that? Uh-oh. The layers are starting to get peeled back here. Okay. This is an older movie I came across called Sealed Verdict. So here's something that's really interesting, is that this certificate of live birth that we talk about, you guys only have a piece of it. I've shared one that we got out of a county out of Texas. And instead of it just being 8 by 10 or 8 by 11, let me put this down. It was actually 8 by 14. And it had an affidavit from the mom on it. Oh yeah, that's not her signature, by the way. Someone typed it in for her, how nice. Maybe she was way too medicated to sign it, the hospital. And then we have a military affidavit to see if they were born in a military base. And then someone from the medical official signed it also. And then you have 2 other affidavits on the same form. And then at the bottom, you have the judge's order. Putting it into the public. This is on a document. The man is 82, is it 82, 83? I think it's like 82. 82 years old, still listed as a child on his birth certificate, with a court order, once he hit age 7, to put him into the public and execute his rights as a public, otherwise known as the giant public graveyard, civiliter mortuus, dead. Isn't that nice? We'll get into that too. So anything that's under a seal is held in trust. I took out the Beetlejuice clip, never trust the living, and I forgot to put it back in, so sorry about that. Your birth certificate is a death order, and law enforcement is enforcing your death. That is what has happened to the vast chunk of this country. That is why the public officials are killing us. That is why they're taking our houses, our children, our lands, our dogs, our cars. We have public plates on our car. We have public registration on our car. You're in the public recorder of deeds as a mortgage, dead pledge contract on your house. You guys are in a giant graveyard. I thought this was cool, just really quickly. It was a scene from The Joker. I should have flipped it, but it talks about he's got an adoption application. He's got a raised seal on that. The Joker was adopted under execution death orders. So sign, seal, deliver. Now we're over to deliver. Oh, look at this. To set free from restraint, to set at liberty, to release, to liberate as from control, to give up, to free, to save, to rescue from evil, kind of like deliver us from evil, amen, our Father. Right? To rescue from evil, actual or feared. It might not even be there. It might just be imagined. Maybe. Maybe not. Often with, from, or out of, as to deliver one from captivity or from the fear of death. So I'm going to tell you guys really quickly a personal story. I don't think I've told you guys this one. But I like to tell you guys my personal stories because I got a lot of them. So one day I'm flying out of California. And this was years ago. My friend had done a documentary. His sister died of Lyme disease. And the film is called Under the Eight Ball. It might be on YouTube, I'm not sure. And it was basically this documentary that started with his sister being sick and led into this whole huge conspiring situation where people were being murdered with biological weapons through insects. And so we did a promotion out in California, and I was flying home. And I looked out the right side of the plane, and the sun was setting over the water. I'm like, wow, that's really incredible. Wow. And I look out the left side, and it's nothing but stars in the sky and the moon. And I was like, whoa. This is something that a lot of people would never see in their lifetime, and I'm very fortunate. And this is such a beautiful thing that if this plane were to go down in flames right now, right here, right now, I would be cool with it. Because I just saw one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen in my life. And the moment that the fear of death left me, it was game on. So, deliver, to give or transfer, to yield possession or control, to part with, to make over, to commit, to surrender, to resign, often with up or over or into. Looks like we're going somewhere. Where are we going? Whoops, wrong one. We're going backwards, that's where we're going. This is in Corinthians 1:9. Indeed, we felt that we were under the sentence of death. Whoa, wait a second. Because we are. Indeed. We felt we were under the sentence of death. At age 7, everyone is at that point. They mark you dead. Social Security did it. In order that we would not trust in ourselves. Hang on a second. Because there's a trust in your name, as long as it's proper. but in God who raises the dead. Wait a second. Did they not just say what I just said in that one little phrase? Okay. He has delivered us from such a deadly peril, and he will deliver us. In him we have placed our hope that he will yet again deliver us as you help us by your prayers. Uh-oh. So I didn't put the definition of you in here, but those of you who are familiar with my work know that one of the definitions for you is an individual who owes a debt to the United States. These guys. On bond paper. As a child of God. Under death orders. By deed. So the post office is I'll tell you a story about the post office. So as I started to get into this game, and it became my life, my whole life turned into this whole sci-fi freak show. So I went from like cheer mom to sci-fi. And so I'm going through it, and I'm taking my children to cheer and sports and work and this and that, and I'm going through this whole spiritual awakening and changeover at a level that I can't even put into words. So as I'm going in and out of these offices and still trying to figure out how to get my man out of there, they start telling me things and whispering things and sliding pieces of information over. So one day I go into the police station. Actually, they took me there. I was taken. So I'm in the police station. I'm like, well, I'm already here. I might as well just start running my mouth. So I said, on the way there, actually, I'm sitting in the back of the cruiser, and I'm cuffed. And so everybody knows this notorious screen. We're all trying to see the screen in the cruiser, right? For those of you who have been in cruisers. I'm not saying go out and go into one, but I'm saying for those of you who have already been into one. There's this illustrious cruiser with secret all-cap information on there. So I'm sitting there in cuffs, and I'm like, why are you doing this to the people? Why are you doing this? Like, what are you doing? And she looks in the mirror, and she takes the screen, and she turns it to me, and she keeps driving, probably because of the monitoring and the audio and stuff. So I look at the screen, and this is what it says. It says my last name in all cap, and then it says my first, like this, and then it says lessee, which means they gave me a lease to use. And it's actually not my name at all. That I'm holding a lease for them, not you, Elise. I'm holding a lease. I'm under a lease that they gave to me under a fictitious name that looks like mine because I didn't keep my word. Get it? So I said, okay, so you're telling me this is not my name. And she looks in the mirror, and she turns the screen, and she keeps driving. So now I'm in the police station. I'm like, well, I said, okay, all right. So from what I understand, there's about 4 or 5 police guys just sitting there. They're the only ones who think it's funny. And I said, so this game, from what I understand, which means from what I agree with it at this point, operates under the 1611, write this down, 1611 uncopywritten version of the King James Bible. Some of you already know this. They're like, oh, I know, okay. And if that's the case, then what's the police station? And they all start laughing. And they said, this is purgatory. Okay. All right, so I still have a chance to get out of here. Okay. So one day I'm at the post office. I'm going to get back to this point. I'm at the post office, and I lock myself out of my P.O. box. So I go over to everybody knows the blue door at the post office, right? So I go over there. I knock over at the blue door. And, can I help you? Yeah, I locked myself out. I just need someone to help me come and open up. Sure, no problem. So about maybe 5 or 6 minutes later, out comes this guy, full-blown suit. Suit, the works. And he's got a whole thing of keys, and he walks in. I can help you. Okay, great. So I'm trying to get my key, trying to get into my mail. And he's walking slowly, and he leans down, and he says, you know, I'm kind of like Solomon. And I'm like, that's nice. I just want to get into my mailbox. You guys, you're nuts. I want to get my mail, and I want to get out of here. Without realizing who Solomon was in the Bible. Solomon and David had a deal. And so, I'm talking to the sheriffs. Okay, I'm going to have to rub harder than I thought I was gonna. Let's see. Some spray would be wonderful, thank you. All right. No, not all that, just this. You just
Trying to be helpful.
Thank you. So helpful.
It just made it shiny, that's all.
There you go. So the sheriffs, where we're at, another thing is that they will tell you who they are if they don't say it verbally, because they always say it verbally. If they don't say it verbally, they'll tell you who they are by their imagery. So our sheriffs, where I'm originally from, wear this on their badge, letting me know that they are operating from the house of David, the county. Ours has 6 seals. House of David. Okay, so you guys are operating from the house of David. That's purgatory. This guy is the treasurer, which is Solomon. I'm starting to get the hang of this. I'm getting the hang of this game we're in. So the post office will deliver for you. So I went down there one day. There was a woman, she works for them. She was trying to tell me something about the form. I will get to you. I haven't forgotten about you, my love. Okay. And we're talking to the postmaster, and we had a situation where the person was being foreclosed on. I said, you know what? Let's go over to the postmaster, talk to them. So I go talk to them, and she says, I don't do any of that stuff. You need to go talk to so-and-so. She's in charge of delivery. Okay, wait a minute. You're saying go talk to so-and-so because she's in charge of delivery. That's right. So if we go over there and we talk to Stephanie, she should have the information that we need so that we can take care of this and we can be delivered from evil. Amen? And she said, amen. I gotcha. We're out of here. Okay? The post office has a deal with the city to control the addresses, which is illegal to have fictitious address under 18 U.S.C. 1342. It's got to be proper form in the image of the word. So delivery, this is funny because I had these slides done for about a week or so, and Bobby mentioned livery of season. And so I have this on the slides, and it talks about landing place of William Penn. So there's land involved. William Penn was one of the, we'll say, crafters of Pennsylvania. Okay. And this was part of his ceremony where he did a delivery of land. Near here, October 27, 1682. It says near here. It doesn't say here. It doesn't say the address. It doesn't say the location. It says kind of close around here somewhere. William Penn, all cap, Mr. Criminal, first stepped on American soil, all cap. He proceeded to the fort and performed livery of season. He took the key thereof. We did deliver unto him one turf with a twig upon it, a porringer with river water and soil in part of all. So, really quickly, I was looking at the deeds with the Native Indians throughout the country. Whenever I get a chance, I'll stop by. If I see a historical society or something like that, I'll kind of go thumbing through the old records. And what it looks like happened with the natives is that you have the settlors, which are the grantor settlors, came in and made a deal with them. I actually have some really interesting imagery and contracts. Made a deal with them, taught them how to read, taught them how to write, but only this version. And then got them to sign and seal and deliver unto the settlers in trust everything. And they said, okay, we're the trustees. We have a fiduciary duty. You out now. And they're like, well, hold on a second. You just gave me a bunch of corn, man. But you just took everything. Oh yeah, this is in trust. This is in trust. You gave us your word. We're going to hold this for you. This is why the natives can't get their land back and they're being moved out, because they all have birth certificates that they have not redeemed. Isn't that nice? So they started fighting. Hold on a second now. A deal is a deal. You gave us your word. You can't come over here and with your flaming arrows and you're on a horse with a tomahawk. What are you doing? You gave us this land in trust to have and to hold till death do us part, and you have not executed this. So everything's held in trust. Sorry. And it's still held in trust. Livery of season is delivery. Livery of season is an archaic legal conveyancing ceremony. You guys are looking for that deed of conveyance, aren't you? That transfer and delivery document. They already did it for you. You've been signed, sealed, and delivered unto death. Here. Formerly practiced in feudal England and in other countries following English common law, commoners, public, plantation, also known as community. Fort Lauderdale has cruisers that say, "We build community." I'm like, that's really insulting to the intelligence. Formerly practiced in feudal England and in other countries following English common law, used to convey holdings in property. Holdings, to have and to hold until death do us part. Okay? You see the game? The term livery is related to, not if synonymous with, the word delivery, or de-livery, as in cattle, as used in modern contract law. So we've got contracts, we've got trusts going on. We've got all kinds of stuff we're juggling here on these documents. The common law, plantation, public, community, commoners. In those jurisdictions once provided that a valid conveyance of a feudal tenure in land required the physical transfer by the transferor. Well, you're the transferee here. Someone transferred you onto the public here. Okay? Your mom gave them power of appointment. And this is the transferor here. Right here. On the public, you're the transferee for the public rights. On the private, you're the transferee for the private rights. Polly, pick the pepper. What I'm saying is, they gave you this or this. Right now, everyone's stuck over here on the public. Okay? Until you get all of your seals and move over to the private. And we're going to talk about that. It's really hot in here. Yeah. Okay. Transferor to the transferee in presence of witnesses. We need 2 witnesses over here, 2 SOSs over here to make it stick, to transfer from here to here. of a piece of the ground itself in the literal sense of a hand-to-hand passing of an amount of soil, a twig, key, or other symbol. Other symbols could be seals, right? There's a movie called The Delivery Man. Vince Vaughn in it, surrounded by all these people. So signed, sealed, and delivered. The words signed and delivered in the phrase above are obvious. Less obvious is the legal implication of the word sealed. The humorous origins of the concept of seal are rooted in feudal times as a method of authenticating the signer of a document or his, indeed, only men had legal capacity to own property and sign documents, his emissary, in much of the same way that fingerprints are served to identify a person today. So seals are like fingerprints. I've seen people put their red fingerprints all over their paper instead of putting their name on there. So this is what happened. What happened, guys? What happened to us? Does anyone know, after everything that I just said, what happened to us? We were delivered the hospital, given a bond. I like to call it an explosive collar, but that's not so appealing. Just in case you wake up, don't get too crazy. We got a button here. Thrown into the public school, public beaches. Your children can't commingle with our private school and our private.